You know all those free services we use every single day? Google, Facebook, all those incredible apps on our phones? Have you ever stopped to wonder how they're actually free? Well, it's definitely not magic. There's a hidden price, a really big one, and we're about to unpack the powerful business model running everything just behind your screen.
So, here's our game plan. First, we're going to look at the deal for free. You know, what we're actually agreeing to. Then we'll dive deep into what surveillance capitalism is. After that, we'll check out the manipulation toolbox, talk about the huge cost to society, and finally, ask the big question: what's next?
Okay, we have all been here. You download a new app, sign up for a service, and bam, there it is, that giant wall of text, the terms of service. And what do? We scroll, maybe we pretend to read a sentence, and then we hit that I agree button. But let's be honest, have you ever really thought about what you just signed?
I mean, just look at this language. On the surface, it sounds fine, right? Show you relevant ads. Okay, but then you see phrases like giving a license to host, reproduce, distribute, and use your content. Scholars say these contracts are made super long and complicated for a reason. They're basically designed for you to skip over them. We just want the cool new app, so we click yes, and we have no real idea what we've just handed over.
So this is the real question, isn't it? Is it just about seeing a few ads, or is there a much, much deeper deal being made, one that isn't so obvious? And this question takes us right to the heart of what we're talking about today.
To get what the real deal is, we have to go behind the curtain, into the engine room of our digital lives. And thanks to the work of scholar Shoshana Zuboff, this incredibly powerful business model actually has a name.
And here it is: surveillance capitalism. Zuboff calls it a new kind of economic order that takes our human experiences, everything we do, what we like, where we go, and treats it like it's free raw material, like gold or oil just lying around. This raw material is then used for what she calls hidden commercial practices. So let's break down what that really means.
At its core, it's a pretty simple three-step process. First, data collection. Every single click, every like, every search, it's all scooped up as raw material. Step 2, all that raw data gets fed into these massive AI systems to create what are called prediction products. Their job is to guess with incredible accuracy what you're gonna do, feel, or buy next. And third, those predictions are then sold on a whole new kind of market to advertisers who, you guessed it, want to influence you.
And this right here is the game changer. It's not just about predicting our behavior anymore. The goal has evolved. Now it's about actively stepping in to tune, herd, and condition our behavior, as Zuboff says. It's about using subtle little nudges to push us toward whatever outcome makes them the most money, not what's necessarily best for us.
So how exactly do they do this tuning and herding? What tools are they using? Well, it turns out they're baked right into the websites and apps we use every single day.
One of the biggest tools in the toolbox is something called dark patterns. And this isn't about colors or fonts, it's about psychology. These are very clever manipulative design choices that are built to trick you into doing stuff you never meant to do, like signing up for something, sharing more data than you wanted, or buying something extra.
And you have definitely seen these in the wild. On the left, you've got disguised ads that look exactly like a regular news story or a post from a friend, tricking you into clicking. And on the right, oh yeah, the classic tiny, impossible-to-find close button on a pop-up. These aren't accidents or bad design, they're very, very intentional.
But the toolbox goes way deeper than just visual tricks. It targets our feelings. The algorithms that control your social media feed are not neutral. They are specifically programmed to find and push content that gets a big emotional reaction out of you. And why would they do that? Simple, because emotion is the fuel for engagement.
This chart shows it all. Neutral, boring content, it goes nowhere. Happy, joyful stuff, it does okay, it gets some shares, but look at that top bar. Fear and outrage. Study after study shows that content that makes us angry or scared spreads like wildfire. The algorithms figure this out really fast and just keep feeding us more of it.
And let's be clear, this isn't just some random side effect. As legal experts like Preston Torbett point out, this exploitation of our fear and anger is so effective that it leaves us wide open to manipulation. It creates an online world where our rawest emotions are basically weaponized to keep us scrolling.
So, this is so much bigger than just us being annoyed by a pop-up ad or wasting time on our phones. This entire business model has real, documented, and pretty scary costs for society as a whole.
When you zoom out, researchers and critics point to some major problems.
It chips away at our personal freedom by constantly trying to manipulate our choices. It acts like a giant megaphone for misinformation, because emotional lies spread faster than boring truth. All of this just pours gasoline on social and political division, and, many argue, is a direct threat to how our democracies are supposed to work.
And we can literally watch this happening. Take a look at this map. It's from a study that tracks how certain stories, in this case conspiracy theories, spread online. You can see how they form these tight little clusters. It's a perfect visual of how these platforms can become massive echo chambers.
And the conversation doesn't stop with social media. Now, critics are looking at the worldwide push for digital ID systems. They're often sold to us as being about convenience and security, but the worry is that they could just be the next, even bigger stage of this surveillance infrastructure.
The viewpoint from critics like author Michael Rechtenwald is, well, it's pretty chilling. He says that a centralized digital ID, one that's tied to everything we do, could be the most powerful tool for control ever created, calling it perhaps the gravest technological threat to individual liberty yet conceived.
So given how huge this system is and how deep these concerns run, what on earth can be done? Is there a way out of this? Let's take a look at a couple of the main ideas being kicked around.
Right now, there are two main paths people are talking about. Path 1 is taking it to the courts. The argument is that those I agree contracts should be thrown out because they're fundamentally manipulative and just plain bad for the public. The second path is through new laws that would actually give us legal ownership of our own data and our social graph. You know, all of our online friends and connections.
But, and this is a huge but, both of these great ideas run smack into a giant wall. This isn't some small fringe industry anymore. Surveillance capitalism is now woven into the very fabric of our economy. And trying to change something that big and that profitable is, to put it mildly, really, really hard.
And that leaves us with one last, pretty unsettling question. This whole economic engine is built on one simple idea, that our private, human lives can be taken for free and turned into a product. So, if our lives are the raw material, what does that make us? Something to think about the next time you're about to click I agree.